What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Liv Morgan is over AF, what really happened between Natalya and Liv Morgan, the WWE has killed a whole division, did Chris Jericho just tease a WWE return, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and a non-wrestling channel, Incredible. And now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story as Liv Morgan is over AF. Atop of the news today is a terrific tale about the WWE Universe's love affair with Liv Morgan. Anyone who doubts how over Liv Morgan is needs to go to a live event, as reports are coming out that WWE fans are losing their minds over the current SmackDown Women's Champion at live events and ponying up the dough for Morgan's merchandise. PW Insider's Mike Johnson recently reported one WWE source who toured with the SmackDown brand over the weekend said they'd never heard louder pops for Liv Morgan than she received this weekend, and it was obvious looking into the crowd that her merchandise was selling in high numbers at the event. As anyone with functioning eyes and ears can tell, Morgan has been one of the WWE's most popular female stars for the past year, despite a long but lukewarm push, well, up until recently. However, her twin wins at Money in the Bank, both winning the women's briefcase and successfully cashing it in, seems to have taken her popularity to new heights. The WWE has a fantastic opportunity to tap into the fans' love for Morgan and used it to add a fresh face to the championship division. This could help win over fans who quite frankly have grown tired of Charlotte Flair dominating the women's division whilst also growing Liv into a real main eventer. Whether the WWE chooses to do so remains to be seen, and her upcoming match at SummerSlam will be a significant test for her. Morgan is defending her newly won championship at SummerSlam against Ronda Rousey, the woman she defeated for the belt, but some fans think Charlotte Flair will interfere in the match, allowing Morgan to emerge victorious. Do you think Liv is going to keep the SmackDown Women's Championship after SummerSlam? Well, for now, Liv lovers will have to keep their fingers crossed, as Morgan certainly wouldn't be the first WWE superstar to receive the fans' cheers and watch her push go up in smoke. Next up, Natalya responds to the report of heat with Liv Morgan. Did Natalya have a meltdown against Liv Morgan at a recent live event? Well, that was a question fans were asking after a video surfaced of Natalya apparently no-selling Morgan's finisher, yelling at her then bailing out of the ring. On the 11th July, the Queen of Hearts tweeted about the incident saying, "Slow news day." Meltzer shared his obtuse insight into the situation during a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, "It was a surprise, especially from her. There was an issue, it had nothing to do with Liv Morgan at all. From what I've heard, I know Natalya's getting heat. I think Liv Morgan's been getting heat over it." Now, we haven't heard any reports of heat on Liv, and if Natty's apparent anger was unrelated to Liv, it makes no sense that it would be heat on Morgan for doing nothing wrong. What has been reported is the situation has been resolved, at least according to Dave Meltzer. Whatever it was, I don't know exactly what the situation was. I know there was a situation. I know that it was cleared up immediately that night and it's over and done with. But it did happen. She was mad. But it had nothing to do with Morgan or any heat between her and Morgan. If you watched the clip, that was the conclusion you would come to, but it wasn't that. Next up, the WWE has killed its women's tag team division. Reports are coming in that the WWE apparently is in no hurry to fill the Women's Tag Team Championship last held by Naomi and Sasha Banks. Fightful Select is reporting that the WWE hasn't provided any new information into its women's roster after the WWE vacated the titles following Naomi and Banks' WWE walkout. Now, it doesn't help that the women's tag team division is nearly non-existent. It's difficult to think of any active tag teams other than Doudrop and Nikki Ash, whose major role seems to be putting over impromptu tag teams like Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan, or the more recent Alexa Bliss-Asuka pairing. The WWE does have a good number of single stars who could be formed into makeshift teams to compete in the tag team tournament, something they did at WrestleMania 37 when they threw in several teams to challenge the then women's tag team champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Next up, a quick Naomi and Sasha Banks update. While speaking of Naomi and Sasha Banks, PW Insider reports both Naomi and Banks are off the WWE's internal roster. Wrestling Inc. noted that the Peacock streaming service removed Sasha Banks as a user's profile icon. Rumor has it that the boss could be free to compete as early this fall. Next up, Vince McMahon's secret wish. Vince McMahon often seems like a man of mystery as fans try to figure out what is going inside the WWE Kingpin's cranium. However, fans who pay attention can get a glimpse into McMahon's mercurial mind thanks to anecdotes from wrestlers. One such anecdote was recently shared by Chris Jericho during Jericho's appearance on the True Geordie podcast. There, Jericho shared an amazing anecdote about Vince's surprising sentiment. Jericho began his tale by talking about his respect for his former boss as well as Vinnie Mac's many years in the business. I loved working for Vince McMahon. I loved how Vince would challenge me and push me, and I also laugh at people when they say, "Oh, Vince has lost it," and "Oh, look at Vince, he's a terrible booker," and all this other stuff. Maybe it's not great sometimes, but you're also dealing with a guy who's been doing this for 40 years. Jericho then shared McMahon's secret wish, saying, "Imagine doing this for 40 years. I remember when I left in 2005, I said I needed to get away, and he said to me, I wish I could get away sometimes, but I can't. Kind of wishful for like 3 seconds, then he was back to Vince McMahon." Now, as fans know, Vinnie Mac isn't known for taking time off, sleeping, or any of the things most people do to relax from work. However, the current hush money scandal hanging over McMahon could lead him to taking an extended absence from the company he helped build up. However, that's a story that is still ongoing with an outcome that remains to be seen. Do you think Vince McMahon would ever walk away from WWE on his own, or is he so dedicated that he'll never leave voluntarily? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, did Chris Jericho tease a WWE return? Did former AEW World Champion Chris Jericho just tease that he's not ruling out a return to WWE? Well, Sportskeeda recently ran a column about the scenarios in which the Wizard might come back to the company. Jericho retweeted the story after a fan shared it, and the speculation began as to what's next for the leader of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And now that Cody Rhodes has returned to WWE, fans are realizing that the chances of AEW stars jumping to Titanland aren't as ridiculous as they seemed during the height of the Wednesday Night War. Fans have already heard stories of the WWE's intense interest in signing current AEW stars Wardlow and MJF when their AEW deals end. Could Jericho return to WWE, and might he bring some of his partners in crime such as Sammy Guevara to the WWE? Would you guys like to see Chris Jericho back? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Konnan claims there's heat between Santana and Ortiz. And more info is coming in regards to the rumoured heat between Santana and Ortiz. The former LAX teammates have been working in AEW as Proud and Powerful ever since AEW's debut, but there have been rumours that the two are on bad terms. Now Konnan is adding to the story as speaking on his Keeping It 100 podcast, they're not on good terms. Whether or not this is accurate remains unknown, but Konnan did work with the two in the LAX faction. Santana is currently dealing with a knee injury that could keep him out of action for a long time. You also may recall past reports suggesting Santana plans on exiting AEW when his contract expires. And finally, a funny fail on NXT. And last but not least, fans watching this week's NXT saw Cora Jade turn on her tag team partner Roxanne Perez during Perez's title match against NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose. Jade seemed to feel Perez was being selfish, so she blasted Perez in the back with her tag team title belt towards the end of Perez's title bout. A heel turn which led to Shawn Michaels trending on Twitter. Some fans are asking why he turned Jade heel just a week after she and Roxanne won the tag titles. But getting back to the blunder, Jade then entered the ring and berated Roxanne as she took a skateboard and went to clobber Roxanne with it. Unfortunately, the board broke when Jade prepared to haul off on Perez, forcing Cora to make do with the broken board. Of course, weapon errors always happen in WWE, and this is just one of them. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.